What is up, guys? Zach Ginn here with
Dad, aka Rick.
and we're here to talk about how to find and wholesale probate properties. This is going to be a really fun one. I know everyone's been hitting us up lately on actually how to find probate houses and actually how to profit with them. So pretty excited to really talk about it, but let's take it off the top from the probate king yourself. What is a probate?
A probate is simply an action taken by the courts to represent a deceased person for any assets that they own. So in layman's terms, it basically sees the person's wishes to be followed through. So understanding, particularly in the real estate niche here, now probate can go with stocks, bonds, checking accounts, cars, and then we talk about real estate. The reason for probate that you have to have it for an investor is a dead man or woman cannot sign the deed over to you. It takes a court action, which is simply probate. So that's the real layman's term. You don't really have to know too much more about probate. Obviously, there's a little bit more, but you need some sort of court action so you can get that probate deeded over to you when you buy it for a great deal.
Okay, so as a real estate wholesaler, why do I care about if someone dies or not?
Well,
I mean, obviously it matters if someone unfortunately passes away, but what's the advantage of a wholesaler to go try to talk to these people?
So the real advantage is when somebody passes away on a property, and you got to think of this, any type of family situation or friends or uncles or anyone like that. When someone passes away, it's hopefully it's because of natural death, meaning 99 years old or whatever. But when they pass away, at the end, they're mostly concentrated on their health. And what do I mean by that is when you get older, you tend to make sure that you can be able to walk around, get meals, basically. You don't have time to go out and like clean the roof, do the maintenance, or get the latest, greatest things like that we like to do as average people. Because when you get older, if you only have X amount of years to live, you want to make it the best quality of your life. So the house, honestly, is not their most important thing in their life. Though it's more about quality of life. So what that does is that leaves houses that are typically outdated. They haven't updated. Most probates I deal with are usually 10 years plus, usually 20, 25. Number two, somebody takes on a house that sometimes A, they don't want it, or B, they kind of got stuck with it in the will and they don't want to live in it. They don't know what to do with it. And here's the most important, guys. They don't want to repair it. They don't want to put the repairs, and they know it would probably be a little bit of a nightmare to bring realtors through there. So that leaves the door wide open for wholesalers like us. And that's why I love probates. I found probates by accident. I waited 10 plus years before I even actually did probates on purpose. So my mission in life is to make sure you guys start out on probates, because if I started on probates, I don't know where I'd be today. They were by far, they are the most profitable deals you can do in wholesaling. Hands down.
Okay, so my next question is, obviously I know the answer. We all talk about it, but I want to hear it more from you is, how can someone find some of these profitable deals? I mean, everyone hears from us, our best deals are always probates. They're always $40,000, $50,000 ones. I mean, they're amazing wholesale deals. We're in Florida. There's a lot of older people, so sometimes a little better where we're at. But how can someone living in California, Georgia, Tennessee, wherever, how can they actually start finding probates? What are some tips you can give, some secret tactics that most people got to pay thousands of dollars for a course to even learn?
Well, let's start out what I had to do when I didn't have a lot of options when I started out. So I didn't know anything about probates when I started. And this was 2012.
Okay.
All I know is when I met with my accountant doing deals, he pointed on the sheet and said, you need to do more deals like this. He's like, what are they? I said, oh, that's a probate. He goes, well, did you market for it? No, I didn't. I got them by accident. So that opened up a question, how can I go out and find them on purpose? Guys, real simple. I didn't know what I was doing. So if you ever done something you've never done before, the easiest thing is just to dive in head first. I went down to my court, my local court, and I asked them, where's the probate department? And then I sat there and I took about probably an hour of an employee's time.
Wow.
And they showed me where to pull the files, like how to do it. Now, I didn't get this reception in every county I went into. So I started off in the 3 counties around me, and every county has a different system. So when you learn one, the other one is going to be completely different. I think they do it to frustrate us. But like, so I'm in Florida, and they were completely different. But once I learned the process and I figured out how to do it, once I got the probate leads, I then sat down with my title company and attorney and to go, what am I looking at? How do I contact these people, or like, who do I contact on this piece of paper? And they just walked me through and showed me, all the little like tricks. It was actually really straightforward. And once I figured it out, I just duplicated the process over. It's a lot of work to go down to the courthouse and do it. And with things going on in the world today and people valuing their privacy, a lot more of the information is harder to get. Now, you can get a lot of this information just by having a business account with your local court systems. It's usually $100, $200, and you can get it online. The real secret here, guys, is using your listrei.com. It's made a tremendous difference in our business because they have a little feature on the filter called pre-probates. And all it does is they identify factors. Basically, they cross-reference death certificates of people that own property within your county, and they look at a couple other criteria, and you get a nice prospect list that, I got to be honest with you, it would have cost me thousands of dollars to get these lists per county. Yeah. And when this came out, which really wasn't even that long ago, I believe, it's a huge game changer. It just cuts out all the stuff you have to go through, all these different, we'd hire VAs, we'd have everybody else. So really, for an account you get signed up for free, which you can test out on listrei.com, you get those pre-probates. Now, guys, there's not thousands of them. A lot of times, an average county has 50 to 75 in a month, and that would be a lot for the counties I serve. So these are small lists, but they are coveted. And with technology today, with like listrei.com, you can actually pull these lists, click it on a finger on your computer. Guys, this literally took us weeks, if not months, and thousands of dollars to pull. And now you guys got them all at your fingertip. I don't go to the courthouse anymore. It's much easier just to pull the data. The difference is you just got to find a way to connect with them. And these, I guarantee you, are the greatest properties to wholesale. Yeah. And I left out one of the biggest factors. Why is it so awesome for wholesalers? Deferred maintenance. Somebody owns a property they don't want. And they're vacant. They're usually empty. So it's simple as putting like a lockbox on there and really just selling your contract to a cash buyer. It's the easiest way. And some of them, guys, I tell you about like beat up properties. I bought some of the nicest properties in probate. Listen, death is hard. Yeah. And when people they just want to move on with their life, if the property needs work, it needs all this stuff, they got utilities, they got to mow the lawn, I don't blame them for taking the cash offer and running. And I've been doing this 19 years, and my first 10 or 12 years, I did probates by accident. Now, if I can teach you guys how to do them on purpose, it will make a tremendous deal. Every investor I talk to all over the country, it doesn't matter if it's right here in my backyard or somebody over in California, the most profitable deals almost always have some sort of probate element to them. True. End of story. They're the most motivated people. They want to get rid of the property. They want to move on with their life. And you can go ahead and fulfill it. And for wholesaling a vacant property that's run down a little bit, guys, we could flip properties like that all day long. So if you guys aren't doing probates, you need to put them in your portfolio and start working on them now.
I go to the clerk of the court and actually pull them. If you go to freewholesaling.com, we literally have an entire probate course in there for free.
We teach the whole thing, and I give you everything
it's a probate
step
course.
by step. It's a probate course.
So we don't have 4 hours to go into probates like you've done in those courses. Yeah. But the other thing I really wanted to talk about was, now we know how to find them. Mm-hmm. Go through freewholesaling.com, or we go to the clerk of the court. We actually pull the probates. We actually know how to skip trace it. It's all through there. How do you start wholesaling these properties? Because what's the process? Do I just knock on someone's door and say, hey, Mr. Seller, I saw your mom died. Can I buy your house? What do you do? Do you door knock? Do you cold call? Do you send a letter? what have you found is the best?
Well, here's the good news: is there's no real wrong way to do it.
There's a wrong way to do it.
There's a wrong way to do it, but listen. When I started out doing them, I refused to cold call on these until this kid decided, hey, why don't we call? So I just changed the terminology. If you guys can switch from cold calling to warm calling,
exactly.
And remember, you just need to get past. You know better than I do. Probably the first 30 seconds, right?
Oh my gosh.
Who is this? Why are you calling me? How'd you get my number? And
Exactly.
if you can get past that in probates, they kind of run out of excuses to tell you. And then obviously, if there's any slight hint of motivation to sell it, they'll talk to you. But you got to get past that. What do they call it with lawyers? Ambulance chasers?
Yeah.
And you'll get called some nasty names. Just get over it. Like, honestly, if you're just nice, I don't see like, hey, I know your aunt died. I want to buy the house.
That's a little rough. I mean,
it doesn't work.
We could just kill them with kindness. Hey, I'm just looking to buy properties in the area. Do you have a property you're looking to sell for? Yeah. We're not asking them, hey, I saw Aunt and Sue died. You know what? I don't even want to bring that up because that actually might be emotional trauma for them. I don't want to bring that up. Hey, do you have any properties looking to sell? If they want to, they'll bring it up. If they're not comfortable with it, hey, have a great day. You know?
I think if you just go in and if they're even open to selling the property, and then just go through your normal qualification period.
That's it.
And then
it's the 4 pillars: motivation, condition, time frame, price.
So I'll let you on the biggest secret of probates before we end this, okay? Probates is much more important to listen than you talking. Past
That's
that first
deal.
30. Well,
it's
that's
every
true.
deal. But for probates, it's 10 times because it's such...
2 years, one mouth.
It's exactly. God gave you 2 years and one mouth. But the thing is, there's just so much more emotions in these deals than the average person that's going to go move to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, there's just so much more emotions where if you have to listen 80% of the time and then do 20% of the talking on those appointments for a regular wholesaling deal, with a probate, it's closer to 90.
And guys, don't try to take probate down in one phone call or
one
sometimes
day.
even like one appointment because, listen, they have to go through a process. And if you try to jam them, like you got to sign today, you're probably you're going to tick them off. So slow down, listen to them. If the emotions come out, just support them and just be a human being. Like you don't need to be a mechanical transactor. Just help people out. Like they want to know that, like I've had people sell me houses and probates. So like, you know, grandma said that, you know, make sure like if you sell the house, like someone will respect it and take care of it. So do the same thing. Give them the respect. Take care of them.
Exactly. The other thing I think is pretty funny is how do you wholesale properties in probate with multiple heirs? Because I know we've done 6, 7, 8 heirs before. What's the process?
20 plus.
What's the process? Do they all have to sign?
So
what's the situation?
In theory, they have to sign the contract.
All of them.
That's the best
so
way
would
to
you
do
put
it.
like 20 lines on the contract?
So you can have the executor sign it.
Got it.
But what I want
What's
to do
an executor?
so an executor is the person that's in charge of the will. It's the responsible person in the family. And the deceased usually appoints someone that they trust to carry out their wishes. So.
And what's PR? What are all these probate terms?
So it's all. So PR stands for personal representative, which in theory is the exact same as an executor. Different states use different terminology with it. Someone will apply to the courts to be the PR. The PR, personal representative executive, is the same thing. It's just a fancy.
And what's the difference between that and an heir?
An heir is someone who's. So if you have an executor or a PR, that's the person who's in charge of like, okay, she wants to sell the house. Say if there was 4 heirs, they would split it 25% each of the 4 heirs. Yeah. The 4 heirs get the proceeds, but they don't really have say in the final contract, but they do have input. In my experience, if you can get the heirs to sign the contract, great. But if you have like 10 or 12, they don't technically have to sign it. The executor, when they have the power and they're entering the court to do it, they have the power to sign on the contract on that property. And heirs just kind of, they typically just want their money. The challenge is, I had one with 21. Yeah. Getting 21 heirs to a closing table, you will work. You will work. I've seen people where we've put employees on planes and stuff like that. But remember, guys, once they sign the contract, the PR and the executor, they'll usually sign and you guys agree. And if you completely ignore the heirs sometimes, and there's more than 4, you don't want to find out at the closing table. If one holds out and they do this hostage situation, it's terrible. So find out front. Listen, if you got 21, let the title company handle it.
Yeah.
And then talk to the PR kind of as your quarterback. So always look at the PR or the executor as the quarterback and the heirs as the rest of the players on the team.
Definitely.
So
Boom.
you guys go out and do probates. I'm telling you, you don't need to know everything. We teach plenty of it over at freewholesaling.com. I don't charge you for it. It's all right there. Guys, do probates. Start out with listrei.com. It's the fastest, easiest way to get these leads. Get a connection with them. And when you go visit with them, 2 ears, 1 mouth, make it happen, connect, make it warm, make it friendly, and help them out. And you'll do amazing with it. So,
boom. Thanks, guys, so much. This is Zach Ginn and Rick Ginn.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Smash that like button and subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. And remember, smash that like button and subscribe. See you guys soon. Thanks.
See you guys.